Davy Crockett, I've got Walt right here. See, I made it
King
work.
of the wild frontier.
What is going on, everybody? Disney Movie Review Sunday for Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. Welcome in, everyone. Great to see everybody. Happy Sunday. We are back for another Disney movie review, a show where Walt and I sit down during the week, choose a random film, and then we review it. We've kind of been on a live action kick recently. The last three movies, Escape from Witch Mountain, Darby O'Gill and the Little People, and Davy Crockett, all three of these films have been live action, sort of classic films. So we've been on this sort of like live action train recently, and this is really exciting. It's really, really great that we are going on to a classic from 1955.
1955. And the funny part about it is the last two that we've reviewed, Escape from Witch Mountain and Darby O'Gill, have done really well with us. They've gotten good reviews. Darby O'Gill was a lot better review than Escape from Witch Mountain,
Yep.
but they still were positive. Are we going to make it 3 in a row today?
Are we going to make it 3 in a row? Stick around, find out, and we'll let you know our letter grade soon. But before we get started, let's see who's in the chat, and we'll get started. So going from the top, we got the wonderful James Ryan, my member. What's going on, brother? Good to see you. Thank you so much for being here. We got Debbie Bernfeld. Welcome into the stream, Debbie. Glad you're here. Welcome in. Florida Park Explorers, welcome in. Thank you so much for being here. I think this is your first time here. Welcome in. Good to see you, and thank you for joining the stream. We've got my brother, Timothy Rainwaters. What is up, brother? Good to see you. And I'm sure a lot of people will be coming in, getting that notification soon, and we will get started on Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, in just a second. But before we get started, I just want to do a few little things. Please go check out my partner channels, Rob Fuzz, The Vibrary Project, Mickey's Magic, and this wonderful gentleman right here, Mouse Talk. By the way, straight after this stream, in an hour's time, is that what you're about to say?
No, go ahead. I was just saying hi.
Oh, okay. I thought you put your hand up. I was like, yes, no. Yes, Dan. Straight after this stream, 7 p.m., Melissa will be going live from drumroll.
Hollywood Studios.
So come join Melissa live at Hollywood Studios straight after this stream. Going to be a lot of fun.
It is. It's going to be a fun stream. She's solo tonight. Well, she'll have some company, but I won't be there to hold her hand.
Twitter and Instagram, not just myself, Disney Dad, but Mouse Talk as well. And please go check out Dean over at The Live Place. He's your go-to guy for all your family-friendly live streamers. Catherine will be welcome into the stream. Great to see you. Did I miss Samantha? Samantha Lowe? Did I?
I see.
Why is she not here?
Kay Atwood.
Kay Atwood's here. Welcome in, Kay Atwood. So good to see you. Paula Rainwaters. Hashtag all the Rainwaters. Welcome into the stream. There's Courtney as well. Hey, Courtney, good to see you. Previous guest on the show. Welcome in, Courtney. So, Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, 1955. Walter's kind of like the Davy Crockett, and I'm Russell in this sort of situation. The only back sort of thing that I knew about Davy Crockett, the only thing I knew about Davy Crockett was the song Davy Crockett, King of the Wild. That's the only thing I knew about Davy Crockett. I'd never seen it before. This was the first time I'd ever watched it. What was this the first time you watched it, or have you seen this a couple times?
I think it's been, if I've seen it, Dan, it's been since I was a child, like single-digit child, like 8, 9 years old. It's been a very long time.
So and the one thing that nostalgic for you.
Yeah, for sure. And the one thing everybody needs to know is what this basically is. It's an abridged version of the retelling of Davy Crockett's life. Yep. And that's really, really important. Because if anybody out there has read on the history of Davy Crockett, this movie doesn't tell his entire story.
No.
It's kind of an an abridged version of it.
The smash hits.
Yeah, it's the smash hits, so to speak. Exactly.
Uh,
Just want to get that out there. That's important.
Gene, welcome into the stream. Thank you so much for being here. Courtney Rainwaters says, we got to pick another Tinkerbell movie this week.
Right.
Well, if you guys don't know, Courtney Rainwaters was our guest when we reviewed the Tinkerbell movie, so maybe we'll pick the next one. Who knows? But yes, it is the smash hits of Davy Crockett's adventures. Obviously, it kind of ties in with Tom Sawyer Island and Frontierland and Walt Disney World and Disneyland. But yeah, I'd never seen this one before. It's been a while since Walt has seen this, so kind of going back and watching a film that really I don't think a lot of people would, pick straight away. It's one of those films that people just like, oh yeah, maybe I'll watch it some other time.
Mm-hmm.
But this is, I think, a good film in which this show is all about choosing films that we never thought we'd pick. And we're going to get started with Davy Crockett, 1955. Now, bearing in mind, there was a sequel to Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, which we may get to, may not. We don't know.
We may have to address not what the sequel's about, but how the sequel is even possible. But we'll get into that.
Yeah, we'll get into that.
We'll get into that.
We'll definitely get into that. So the film is set obviously during the time of the frontier, during the war between sort of the colonials, I believe, and sort of the Indian tribes. And I just want to put this out straight away. And if you've seen the movie, you might see this straight away before the film really starts, that it's kind of like a disclaimer that things obviously over time has changed and people's political views have changed and things that are politically correct. It's some of the terminology that they use in this film, obviously you cannot say in films nowadays, because obviously this was 70 years ago. So just as a disclaimer, if you do decide to see this film, just keep in mind that there are, certain lines of dialogue that would never be allowed nowadays in film. But we're set during the time of the Indian tribes and David Crockett sort of fighting for the colonials. Kelly from the Mickey Bunch, welcome into the stream.
Let me say this. It's during the time of Andrew Jackson, who's president of the United States at that point. It's past the Revolutionary War. Not a lot past it, though. I think we're talking early 1800s or late 1700s, if I'm not mistaken. I'm going to look it up while Dan's talking. But that's an important disclaimer to remember, because Andrew Jackson.
You don't need to look it up. James Ryan's already got it. He says the movie spans the period about 1812 to 1836 and is in 3 distinct parts: Crockett versus the Creeks, Crockett the politician, and Crockett in Texas. Kelly, welcome in. Kelly from the Mickey Bunch. Go check out her channel. She was on Fiasco yesterday. Come check her out. And my partner channel, the self-proclaimed king of retro himself, Rob Fuzz. Go check out Rob, my partner channel. Go check him out. So, yes, it's during the time of Andrew Jackson. Now, my American history may not be as strong as most, obviously. But Andrew Jackson was which president was he? Must have been very, very early on.
Early, it's like fifth or sixth. He wasn't fourth. That was Madison, but he was up. Yeah, James Madison was the 4th president. He was up there. I'll look him up right now. But
right,
he was the general first, because that's where the movie starts. Is where they're fighting the Indians. He was the 7th U.S. president.
7th U.S. president.
Yeah.
James Ryan is the foot of all knowledge at the moment. You can see he just put 7th in the chat. I don't know if you beat it. So the film sort of starts with Davy Crockett's sort of right-hand man, Russell, and it's sort of a plan of attack on the Indian tribes. And we have sort of, they had to track down Davy Crockett. Now, Davy Crockett is becoming sort of a well-known sort of marksman, a well-known fighter, well-known sort of leader, being able to not just outfight, but outwit their opponents. He's a very key person within the ranks.
Fantastic frontiersman, knows the land, knows the area, knows the people. He's a good asset to have in the war that they're having with the Indians. I agree 100%. And I got to say this real fast. The two main characters, Fess Parker plays Davy Crockett. I think I got the name right. And Buddy Ebsen plays Russell. And for those in America who know who Buddy Ebsen is, he's famous for the Beverly Hillbillies.
Right.
If you've ever seen the show The Beverly Hillbillies, that's Buddy Ebsen.
I could not say that I have even heard of the Beverly Hillbillies.
Okay, well, he's much younger in this. The Beverly Hillbillies aren't until the 60s and 70s. So
I thought you were going to go with Beverly Hills Cop, but okay.
No.
But there you go. That's our weird reference of the day. There we go. There we go. We're going to start singing the songs from Beverly Hills Cop. So Russell has been given a small task. The film kicks off with Russell going to track down his buddy, Davy Crockett, who is out in the jungle. And they climb out, they go over the river, and he sees Davy Crockett within the bushes trying to catch a bear with sort of like Flynn Rider's Smolder look. He's trying to get this bear, to capture this bear, so that obviously he wouldn't get killed. And things don't go the way they planned, and then Davy Crockett goes pretty much fistful of dollars on this bear, pretty much, and they start having a bit of a fight. But I don't believe we see the bear, do we? No. He just throws himself in and out of a bush.
Yeah, it's 1955. It's not quite,
I would like to say that the action is very pro wrestling sort of situation where
extremely
you punch somebody,
choreographed.
Yes. You punch somebody. It's not actually them being punched. Like they are at least 3 feet away from each other. It's just the camera angle. Here we go. Here's the people coming in the chat. What's going on, everybody? Let's see who's jumped in. We have drum roll. Disno Adventure. What's up, Noah? Good to see you. Hannah Waghorn. Good to see you. Thank you for staying up and joining us. Keely Rainwaters, welcome in. Good to see you. We have now completed the Rainwater Quartet here.
Yeah.
So yes, Davy Crockett wrestles a bear, well, an imaginary bear, at the start of this film. And then we get introduced to the chief of the Indians, who is called, well, remember, it is, we wouldn't use these terms nowadays, but the leader of the Indian tribe is called Redskin. Is it Redskin? He's kind of...
It's Red Skull.
Red Skull.
I'm kidding. Red Skull is Marvel, dude.
Oh, yeah. Now I got it. So he was the leader of the Indian tribe. And there's been this sort of big conflict going on, and they've tried to sort of find different ways. And Davy Crockett's been recruited. Red Stick. Red Stick.
Chief Red Stick. Yeah, so at least that's what it says right here.
And essentially, the Colonials with Davy Crockett are trying to take over their land. Paul Angle, welcome into the stream. Welcome in. Thank you for being here. So, what does Davy Crockett and Russell and the chief and the commander, and what do they all try and do? Well, what do they try and do?
Well, basically, I mean, to start, he's there. Obviously, it's a battle. It's a war. So they're going to battle each other. And ultimately, they do that. And in the first small battle, the Indians kind of win. I say Indians, the Native Americans, what have you. And I apologize, but they kind of win. They suffer a lot of casualties, but they do ultimately get away. Yeah. And then, and they're there. And Andrew Jackson's first, his general is like, well, they suffered a lot of casualties. He said, yeah, but they got away. We didn't win. They won, even though they lost people. They won, and I think I'm going the way you want me to go here, Dan. Tell me if I'm not. If I'm veering off, let me know. And then they go back again, and they have a second kind of battle, but they get Russell. They capture him.
Well, yeah,
Davy's got to go save him.
Yeah. So what happens is there was a skirmish back, sort of where the Colonials were, and then I think this is how it went. That Russell and Davy Crockett disregarded the orders of the commander. They decided to go round the lake, and they do those little like bird whistles.
Oh, right.
They
I'm
do the
sorry.
little bird whistles, and Russell gets taken. He gets captured.
Yes.
And then obviously and then Davey's trying to wait for a response with that secret bird whistle.
He doesn't get it.
He doesn't get it. So clearly something went wrong. And then Davy Crockett, on his own, finds Russell in the hands of these Native Americans. And
Chief Red Stick's got him, and he's ready to scalp him.
He's ready to throw down. So Davy Crockett, this is where I've really enjoyed his character, that he's not just a very good soldier. He's good. He's a good negotiator. He's a good talker. He can really convince people to do things. Disney Nerd Herders, what is going on, guys? Thank the Phoenicians. We are going to get ice cream. Before you say anything else, you need to tell me what flavors you're getting. And if one of them is not coffee, then I'm just disgusted, because I love coffee ice cream. Anyway, so Davy Crockett lays down a challenge. He says to Red Stick, let's have it. Let's fight. And the winner will release. Russell will be the consequence whether you win or lose.
It's going to be mano. You and me. You win. I'm dead. You can kill Russell. You win. I win. You listen to my terms, and we move on.
Right. And they use tomahawks, which is obviously the weapon of choice for Red Stick. And it was a cool little fight. It was a cool little skirmish.
Up and down, back and forth. One one had the advantage, the other had the advantage. One looked like he was ready to get the other one. Then it turned around. It was a for that time, it was a nice fight scene. I agree. Yeah. It's not quite what we get today, all the flashy, phenomenal scenes with the great choreography of today's world. But for 1955, if I'm watching that as a kid in 1955, I'm really excited and kind of worried for Davy Crockett.
You know what it is? I think in some films you see sort of your hero going up against somebody, your hero is going to win. Whereas I feel in this, you almost felt like this guy could win. Red Stick could win. He's like the chief. He's like the leader of the tribes, and these tribes are really strong. Like, you genuinely felt like Davy could lose here.
Yeah, I definitely felt like he was really gonna hurt him. Right. I mean, we're adults, so I knew he wasn't gonna win, but I felt like, he's really gonna hurt him, at least in this. You're right. There was definitely a fear of he could be in trouble.
Absolutely. But Davy Crockett, our hero, comes out on top. And this is where I've really enjoyed Davy's character, in that he says to the Native Americans and the chief, he says, listen, you ain't going to win this fight against the colonials. It's just not going to happen. I want to bring people together. We need to fight. We need to sort of live as one, and just work together with this situation.
Agreed. Yeah.
Which has become sort of a common sort of trend throughout the film as part of his sort of character, which I really liked. It was sort of realizing both sides. He didn't just fight for one side. He wanted both sides to live in harmony, which I think there's a lot of sort of, real world ethic here. There's a lot of real world moral here, and I really, really enjoyed that.
A lot of what they have in this film, of what their story is being told, and the lessons he's trying to learn, are stories that still resonate today. They
Absolutely. Do. But this is why this is a American legend, American myth, a story that's been going years and years and years, because it has that relevance to today. And just something like that, saying to the Indians, listen, we all live as one people. Everybody lives together, no matter the color of your skin or where you come from. It doesn't matter. We all live peacefully, which I really loved about Davy's character, because he just told it as it is.
Yep.
From there, one of my favorite interactions I really liked was Davy and his family. I really enjoyed Davy going home with Russell to see Davy's beautiful wife, and 2 sons, and just enjoyed Davy Crockett not being Davy Crockett. Right. I liked him being sort of that human person that you can relate to, coming home
Correct.
from war, putting your feet up, spending time with the kids. I think that was an even more sort of humanizing of this character, which I really enjoyed.
Right. And his wife's name was Polly.
Polly.
Polly, and then the two boys. Yeah, that was fun. I like that too. It was a nice exchange. It's very brief. He's not there long because the one thing about Davy Crockett is he is definitely a frontiersman. He likes to be out in the frontier, exploring, finding new places, this, that, and the other. And even though he's there with his wife and he misses her and he loves her and he loves the boys, he does ultimately go back out and she even says to him, she's like,
is this the last time?
Is this the last time? Are you going to find a place where we can put down roots and live happily ever after? Ultimately, is what they want.
Ultimately, yeah. James Rice says, Dan, for fun, the end of the prequel allowed Andrew Jackson to move on to New Orleans, where, despite being outnumbered to beat the Brits in New Orleans, ending the War of 1812. And that will hurt my feelings. No, I'm kidding. Cynthia, welcome in. Candy Mum, thank you so much for being here. Hope you're doing well, my lovely. Welcome in. So, let me bring back the banner. So, Davy and Russell head off to a new town. I believe they are now moving to Tennessee, Nashville, Tennessee, where he's looking somewhere to stay. He's looking somewhere to live.
And he's looking to purchase land. You're right. That's exactly what he's doing. He's going there to buy land. Tennessee is one of the newer states. The whole frontier west is starting to happen. This is what's happening. They're moving westward, and that's what he's now doing. He's with Russell to find land, and they go to this one town, which the name escapes me. I apologize.
I thought it was Nashville. Wasn't it not Nashville?
I thought it was a small little town.
Little town. I can't remember
the name of the town.
But it's in Tennessee. And
it might have been Nashville, to be honest.
He speaks to sort of the man in charge, and he says, in order to get land here, you need to beat a guy in a shooting contest. So he goes up against this man called Bigfoot Mason. Bigfoot Mason. And Bigfoot Mason is, he's like the what's his name from Back to the Future? He's like Biff from Back to the Future.
Yeah, he's a bully. He's a bully.
He's from Back to the Future.
You know who he reminds me of? Here's a movie reference. You ever see The Quick and the Dead?
I've not seen The Quick and the Dead.
Okay, well, it's a fantastic Western movie. Watch it, Dan. You'll love it. Right. He reminds me of Gene Hackman's character in The Quick and the Dead.
Oh, I love Gene Hackman. I've got to check that out.
Well, Gene Hackman's a really, really bad guy in The Quick and the Dead.
More than Lex Luthor and Superman, I'm assuming.
Worse than that. But that's who he reminded me of. The guy that has the muscle, is the biggest, strongest, fastest, at least in The Quick and the Dead, because that's the whole point of the movie. It's a gunfight. You're either quick or you're dead. He's the fastest draw in town easily.
Right.
And he runs the town. He bullies everybody. And that's kind of what he reminded me of.
Right. And Bigfoot Mason is that kind of character. He is a bully. And the event happens, it's like almost like an archery contest, but they're using their muskets. So Bigfoot Mason, he's very, very good. He always gets that bullseye. And Davy Crockett steps up with his rifle, and not only does he shoot it bullseye first time, on his second attempt, he shoots it through the exact same hole from the shot previously. So he literally got it dead straight 2 times. And
they thought he missed. They thought he missed the entire bullet. They're like, he was so bad, he didn't even hit it. And then the guy looks at it and goes, no, actually.
There's 2 pelts there.
Yeah, there's 2 pelts.
Brian Eisenhart, good to see you, Brian. Welcome into the stream. So Davy gets the land and he's celebrating, but then we get some bad news. His wife, Polly, doesn't matter.
It might be.
Doesn't matter. She died. She has I think she comes down with like a sickness or a virus. Yes. And she passes on. And the kids go with Davy's sister-in-law. And that's the last time we see Davy being a family man. And
let me say this, though. This is one of those abridged versions. From what I've read of Davy Crockett, He actually does marry several times. It's not just Polly and that's it. He has several children from other women as well. I think he gets married at least 2 more times. The second wife, I think, also passes, and then there's the third wife. Um, so that wasn't his only wife. He did have a couple others that also I think the second one also did pass,
Yeah.
and then he had more children with those wives. So he had a pretty significant large family in that respect.
Super Fluffy Yeti, welcome into the stream. Good to see you. Welcome in. So with Polly moving on, Davy decides to do something else. And he's obviously become that very popular figure amongst the town, amongst sort of the West during his days as being a soldier. People know of him. People are on board with him. So he decides to become a politician. He decides to become a politician and represent Tennessee. But before that, to make him even more sort of excited, he was actually going to help an Indian man, a Native American man, recapture his home, which was taken by, what was his name? Bigfoot Mason.
Yeah, Bigfoot Mason.
Bigfoot
He bullied
Mason.
his family out of this home, and it was one of those things where, again, it's kind of where bigotry and racism, I hate to say it, but it's true, come into play, because when Davy Crockett goes to help the Native American and his family, who had a nice little cabin and everything, a nice piece of land, they go up there and the guy's like, they don't deserve to have this nice piece of land.
Yeah.
These Indians don't deserve to have a nice piece of land, which is exactly what you would expect from someone who was like that to say. And he's like, yeah, he does deserve this land. He's got it written in paper right here. It's legally his. You're going to give it back to him right now because it's his land, not yours. And that's what Davy's there to do. And he's like, well, I tell you what, why don't we settle this one-on-one? And again, it's going to be a mano-a-mano.
No holds barred.
No holds barred, as he called it, which is really kind of cool that they use that.
No holds barred. And I'm going to say right now, the fight with Red Stick was better than the one against Bigfoot Mason, in my opinion. I thought this one was pretty much just, it was very, very over the top. The camera angles, you can clearly see they weren't hitting each other.
Right.
This one was just a bit too, I don't know. I just didn't enjoy this fight as much as the previous one with Red Stick. But it was, in the end, Davy obviously wins. And the Native American actually kills one of Bigfoot's sort of henchmen because he was going to kill Davy. So
yeah, he saved Davy. I mean, when Davy had the upper hand on Bigfoot, the guy raised his gun and was going to shoot him in the back, and the Indian shot him and saved him. So that was cool. Kay Atwood asked if one of the wives of Davy Crockett was a Native American. She was not.
I don't think so.
No. Dan, I'll be right back. You take over for a second. I'll be right back.
No problem. So, obviously now with this sort of situation, Davy has become now popular. He's become popular not just amongst sort of the town and the state of Tennessee, but also with the colonials he's fought with, and as well as the Native Americans he has saved from the colonials. So he's becoming that sort of popular person to take over the spot in Congress as the leader of the Tennessee. Now, you are literally talking and listening to a British person talking about American politics, and I'm very sorry about that. But still, this is just how it is.
What I missed? Rewind.
I said you're listening to a British person talk about American politics.
Well, let me say this again. So another abridged version in this movie is actually Davy Crockett's political career.
Yeah.
Because he didn't start out in Congress. He started out more in the local level of what they had back then. He might have been a magistrate or things like that. Then he moved on to Congress in Washington, D.C. Now, in this movie, you only see one term for him, but he actually served several terms. He won, then he lost, then he won, and then he lost. So he didn't have consecutive terms. He actually would win, then he would lose, then he would win, then he would lose. Just FYI.
Super Fluffy says, I'm late to the game. Why is Walt sitting on the floor? Because He broke his chair. I don't know.
I am away. I am actually in Maryland. I flew up here today. I am out of town for the next week and a half. My mom's going in for surgery this week, so I wanted to be up here for her. And I'm actually in my son's spare bedroom and making do. I could not miss tonight. I'm not going to miss our Disney movie reviews, so I am doing my best to make do so I can be here with that guy. that guy. I can't do it. And you all in the chat because we love these.
That's why I love this guy. He's sitting on the floor to do this stream. I mean, talk about incredible amazement. Christine Hitman, welcome in, member of the channel. Thank you so much for being here. So he runs for Congress. He becomes sort of the representative of Tennessee, and he's sort of becoming sort of a very influential part of the world, pretty much. He's standing up for what is right, and he's standing up that everybody should be treated equally. And he's going around, he's telling people, we should all be living together, no matter where you are, no matter where you come from. And there's Melissa. Hi, guys. Just saying hi real quick from Hollywood Studios. By the way, straight after this stream in 30 minutes time, just saying, Melissa, you're going to be going live from Hollywood Studios. So come check out Mouse Talk.
So exciting. I can't wait to see it.
So, yes. So he becomes Tennessee congressman. And then, yeah, he does a lot of talking. But he goes on a tour. He goes to, I believe, Boston. He goes to New York. And then I think he goes to Philadelphia. And then something happens in Philadelphia.
Yes, well, ultimately, again, strike me if I'm going the wrong way here. He finds out Russell comes and finds him in Philadelphia and says, "You need to get back to Washington ASAP." He said, because the one lieutenant, he said, he wanted you out of town for a reason, because he didn't want you there. He's trying to pass this Indian Bill Act. I know I have the name wrong, but some sort of passing of an act that's going to kind of limit what the Native Americans can get for land and things of that nature. Something very unfair, and he's trying to get it passed through Congress, but he doesn't want Davy there because Davy's a good speaker. He's very primitive, I guess is the word, with his speaking. He's not as eloquent. He's not as educated at all.
He's not a politician. He's
not. Well, he also doesn't have education either. He really doesn't.
No.
But he understands the world, and he knows right from wrong, and he can make connections with people. And
Absolutely.
The guy didn't want him there, so he sent him off on these tours, so to speak. Well, Russell gets him and says, "Look, we got to go back now. This bill is going down on the floor to the House to be voted on in just a couple days. We got to get back." And they hurry back. And they get there just in time, and he goes up to the floor and basically commits what they called political suicide when he just basically told them how he felt, how wrong it was. This shouldn't be passed. Blah 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 blah.
It was a great speech. It was a really good speech.
It is.
And I really, really enjoyed that sort of part where he really stood up for what he believed in. It really went back to the start of the film about, living together as one, and no matter if you're Native American, whether you are, whatever. And it really did bring Davy's character in a really, really great direction. Moving on to Act 3. And this film really is it's like a 3-story and a 3-act film. We're going to move on to when Davy goes off to the Alamo. So Russell goes with him. I think they end up in New Orleans or somewhere like that, and they go on a riverboat and they meet up with a British guy. I can't remember his name.
Thimble. I think his name was Thimble.
Thimble.
Here, I got them all right here. His name is Thimble. I can't. Thimblerig. Thingabling. Right. I don't know.
Thingabling.
I'm just going to call him Thimble.
Thimble. There we go.
Do you know who that is? He is a connection to a very, very, very popular Walt Disney cartoon villain?
Scar.
Nah.
Uh,
Think more around that time.
1955.
He is one of the most popular voice villains in
Hook.
Walt Disney. You got it. That's Captain Hook.
Ah,
If you listen closely, that is Captain Hook.
no way.
Yes, indeed.
Interesting. Yeah, so I'm gonna have to go back and look at that. Rod Priester, welcome in. Good to see you. Rod Priester called me Sir Dan and Sir Walt. Like, come on, that is.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you,
Thank you, Sir
Captain
Rod.
Akron. Welcome in. Thank you so much. So, oh, by the way, we didn't do off with the good of all Kree thing.
Oh, for the good of all Kree.
For the good of all Kree.
Nutcracker.
I can't believe we missed that. So they head off and try and figure out a situation to help the people who are stuck in the Alamo. Now, my knowledge of the Alamo is very, 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 very limited. I do not know much about the Alamo at all.
I'll give you a little bit. I'm
There
sure
we
James
go.
Ryan, James Ryan will clean up what I don't do right. Ultimately, Russell and Davy are going to the Alamo because I think it's Spanish American War. If I could be wrong on that, James, you're there. We're fighting.
He was actually there.
No, I mean he'll help me.
I thought you meant he actually was there.
No, he wasn't there. James isn't that old. But they're going down there to help because it's a battle for Texas. We're trying to get Texas in statehood. Mexico and Santa Anna, General Santa Anna, is trying to keep it or take it from us. And there's a main battle going down there in Texas, and they are going down to help. And part of it is in the San Antonio area, San Antonio, Texas. And there's this small fort called the Alamo down there that they are trying to hold until reinforcements get there. And they get there. Sam Bowie, I think his name, General Bowie, who created the Bowie knife, is one of the people who's also there. He's the general of that base, that small base. And of course, Davy Crockett, the British guy, Thimble, whatever his name is, he's there as well. Russell's there. They come to help, and they get there, and there's like Santa Anna's army is probably 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 strong. Sorry, I have a runny nose. And the people in the Alamo, maybe 200, maybe 200.
So I think they said 200, but they should,
200 against about 5,000.
5,000.
Great numbers.
Though you look back in history, numbers doesn't mean everything. So
that's true. It doesn't. Sometimes it does, though.
Sometimes it does.
Sometimes it does, and we'll get there. But he shows up with Davy, Russell, and the other guy, and they're there for backup. And when they show up, the guy's like, "Did you bring?
How many you got?
How many you got?" And he goes, "You're looking at it.
4."
Yeah, 4 basically. And it is what it is. I mean, it is what it is. They're like, all right, well, we're gonna hold out. We're gonna hold out. We're gonna do this. We're gonna make it work. We're gonna make sure that they don't get past us, such and such.
Yeah. No, absolutely. So
James Ryan has good. I'll let you give his.
So James says it was at a time when Texas alone sought independence from Mexico. Texas was not part of the United States then. The War of Texas Independence, which makes a lot more sense now because I kind of didn't really understand during the film because Simba2, welcome in. Good to see you, Matt. Thank you for being here. See, I didn't really sort of understand. I thought when the battle sort of started, I was like, why are the Americans fighting Americans? Like, it just didn't make sense to me.
Yeah, and they weren't.
And now it does.
Yeah, they were. And Santa Anna was very good general, very smart, and had a very big army. But the issue that they were having is, I think that ultimately, and it's true, I think they would have been fine, and I think they probably could have held out. But what really handicapped those fighters, and a lot of them were volunteers, including Davy Crockett, reserves. They were running out of rations. They were running out of gunpowder. They were running out of ammunition. They didn't have enough.
It goes back to sort of medieval British history of how they took castles and especially during sort of the time of the Romans and the medieval times where you didn't even need to fight. You just starved them out. You didn't let them, get anything into the castle to feed or to whatever. And that's pretty much when they were weak, when they didn't have anything. And I really enjoyed the eating scene where they gambled for food. Do you remember? With the silent Native American who didn't speak, Thimble and Russell, and they all tried to gamble for food, and they tried to do the magic cup trick, and they ended up the silent Native American managed to win it all. But it was a really good sort of. What I really liked about this was that they gave everybody sort of a human aspect, a human character, which I really enjoyed. But yeah, they waited them out, and then when the Spanish attacked, the fort fell. Davy was the last one to hold them off, the fighter that he is, and it's not a happy ending. Davy is defeated.
Yeah, ultimately what happens is they do have Santa Anna does come to them with an ultimatum. He says, "Look, lay down your arms. You can come out now. We'll let you go. But we're taking this base, and we're taking Texas." And they basically said, "No, we'll fight to the end if we have to." And that's what they do. And it's those who understand and know American history. It's one of the biggest. It's a moment that's always referred back to in American history. The very few, we're very lucky. The very few losses that we've had. This is one of the ones that has really struck a chord in the United States. We lost a lot of great people: Sam Houston, Sam Bowie, Davy Crockett, and others. Great American people that we know, American heroes, were lost here. They died. Every one of them. Santa Anna said, "No survivors." And he did. He went in and he got them, and he got all of them. And it didn't. Now, it's funny because in the movie, it's actually kind of neat. In the movie, you see everybody die but Davy. You actually don't see him die. Watch it again.
It pans to sort of.
It fades to black as he's still fighting, and he's the last one fighting because it's his movie. But he does ultimately die, and they're all gone, and we lose.
See, James Ryan wins the best comment of the night for me. He says it's the Americans' Thermopylae, and he's playing on the heartstrings of what I do as a career, which is study the ancient world and ancient history. The Battle of Thermopylae is that famous battle with the 300 Spartans against the Persians. And, exactly. And again, the Spartans, the 300 that they fought on the third day to their death. And they were the strongest warriors in history. But they lost because they were up against 100,000 plus Persians. Like it was going to happen. So yeah, it's pretty much history repeating itself.
Right. Look, there's an old saying. What's remembered is the stance that a few have against many, and the bravery alone of knowing the inevitable, and yet look, bravery basically is you're scared, but you do it anyway. You know what's coming, but you do it anyway. That's bravery.
Yep.
Okay.
Absolutely.
You're scared to death, but you know what? You do it anyway because you have to, because you stand for a reason. And that's why again the Alamo strikes such a chord in the United States here. Kelly said it. Remember the Alamo. People remember that. We've lost a lot of great heroes there because they were outnumbered. But you know what? They knew they were going to die. They fought anyway, and they lost, but they made their point.
They made an impact.
Yeah, they did. They made an impact. And
absolutely.
So what this movie is basically a microcosm. It's a condensed version of Davy Crockett's life.
Yeah, it is. Which kind of doesn't make sense because there's a sequel. There is a sequel after, which was released a couple years later with Davy Crockett.
Actually, Sam Bowie didn't die in that. Okay, because James, but in the movie, he's in there when they die. He's in there because they talk about him. So there you go. There's a little bit of a correction from truth to
inaccuracies.
Movie. Yeah, there's an inaccuracy right there.
So there is a sequel. We don't recommend watching it. No, that's wrong. We do recommend people watching it, but
I have no clue how. I'm intrigued by the sequel because How can you have a sequel?
If the
Then
guy
again,
is dead.
they're having a
Yeah.
sequel to The Matrix, and they're all dead. So,
Well, that's a film we'll need to review. So Davy Crockett, that's pretty much the end of the story. And we're going to move into our review part of this sort of Disney movie review show, where we're going to give a summary of how we feel about the film, what we liked, what we disliked, favorite characters. And while we're doing that, we are going to ask you guys in the chat for our letter grade. Now,
your
on
letter
Disney,
grade.
your letter grade. On Disney Movie Review, we rate our Disney movies that we review every week from an A+ all the way down to an F. C is kind of like the average. I've given an A+ in the past. Walt's given an F in the past. But what we like to do is get you guys involved. Let us know what you would give Davy Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier, and maybe why. Why did you give it that letter grade? And we'll go through it in just a second. So we're going to start with Walt. What is your review, your summary of this film? What is your letter grade, favorite character, and we'll go from there.
Okay, so I like this film. I don't love it. Okay, it's a condensed version of Davy Crockett. For anybody that doesn't know anything about Davy Crockett, and I don't know a ton. I'm not the major historian of him. I liked it. I liked it more as I got into it. At first, I was like, man, I hope this gets better quick. But for me, I enjoyed the scenery. I enjoyed the story they told. I liked how they kind of got everything in an hour and 15 minutes, which was great as well. We don't need 3 hours of this. The fight scenes were fun. It gave us some American history. It left us with a sad yet understandable ending. For me, I'm going to give it a C.
Okay.
I did like it. Will I watch it all again on my own? Probably not. But if it was on TV and I happened to pass it, I probably would stop for a little bit and watch some of it. I would. I'm not saying I'm going to watch the whole thing, but I probably would go back and watch some of it. My favorite character, I have to go with Davy. I think he's really awesome in this. But I do like Russell.
Me too.
He's really good in this. I just think he did a really good job. But I'm gonna go with Davy Crockett. I like the character.
Nice. That's a really good summary there. A good review, and a C, I think, is a very respectable grade there. Guys in the chat, if you would like to put your letter grade, if you've seen the film, if not, that's totally okay.
Do.
And if you haven't seen the film, maybe you say if you are interested in seeing the film, we always recommend that you watch the film, get your own opinion, and then come back and see afterwards. For me personally, I feel like this film would have been better as a Disney Plus original series. Split it up, do maybe 35-minute episodes, really expand it, and really draw sort of more sort of history out of it. I think it would have worked a little bit better maybe as a TV series rather than a film, because it does feel like 3 stories crammed into one.
Really. It's very rushed.
It is very, very rushed. I enjoyed the film. Again, I'm like you. I don't think I would go back and watch it again. But I personally think this film was slightly above average. I gave it very slightly a C+. I gave David Crockett a C+. Again, I really enjoyed the characters. Davy Crockett was my favorite character. He is the focal point of the film. And I really enjoyed what I really enjoyed was that I watched the film and I actually came out of it knowing more about who David Crockett was, especially somebody who's not American, who doesn't sort of know much about sort of that sort of time period. And James Ryan knows I'm a big history buff. I love my history. So to learn more about that has been really, really great. So C+ for me, David Crockett, King of the Wild Frontier. And again, positive grades, really, really good. Debbie Bernfeld, let's go through. Let's see what everyone put in the chat. Right, let me bring up this. Right, Debbie Bernfeld gives it a C+, same as me. Kelly says Russell is the MVP. I could definitely agree to that. I would have liked to see more of Russell in the film. That's my opinion. Rod Priester says solid B, nostalgic, good entertainment with whimsical tales of a historic figure. Russell was my favorite, with Davy a close second. Very nice. I love it. James Ryan, he's gone for this. He says, I am mindful that this film would not make it past the PC hurdles of our time.
Very
But
true.
it was a great film for the mid 1950s. My grade is an A. I really love that summary there. I think that is absolutely fantastic.
I think James makes a good point. My C might be a little too harsh, but I agree with you. I mean, for the time, 1955, for the time, I think people really loved this film. I do. I think that's why it's got a sequel.
Absolutely. Kelly says, it was actually 3 different episodes of a TV series put together in a movie, I believe. I did not know that.
She's right. You're right, Kelly. I think they used to do it on Sunday, The Wonderful World of Disney on Sunday nights. But they did actually make it into, like, I'll call it 3 parts like that, like a mini series. But yeah, I think they did.
It's like the It TV series. It's all crammed into one.
Birds or
right.
Roots.
That's it. Noah gives it C plus. Timothy Rainwater says you've got to stand for something or you'll fall for anything. Says Aaron Tippin. Kay Atwood gives it a C plus. Debbie Bellsfeld says I love David Crockett. Then Russell. And yes, I think we got that. You sure did. It was 3-part TV miniseries done for TV, says James. Well, I really like that, and it kind of makes sense, obviously, as it does feel sort of a bit, rushed. I think now, if it was to be released, they could have made it into sort of a longer series. But no, we really, really enjoyed it. Before we get to the poll for next week, we do want to remind everybody, while Walt is up in Maryland, we will be continuing Disney Movie Review on this channel, on my channel. And then as soon as Walt returns from Maryland, we will move it back to his, and then we'll start to go again back on alternate channels. So please keep aware, next week will be on my channel.
Yes.
And also, I want to just let everybody know, with the announcement from yesterday on Disney Fiasco, if you are not sure on the big announcement of Disney Fiasco, go back and watch it. I'm not going to tell you now because I want you to go watch it. This show, Disney Movie Review, will not be affected. This show will continue to go. This show, as a lot of you know, and definitely what Walt and I do, this show is not, we like to do it every week. But there are times, you guys know, that we don't do it every week because there are often things happening. We do it when we are free, when we'd like to do it, and that's just kind of why we do it as well. Pamela Hoffman, welcome into the stream.
Yeah, Dan's right. I mean, we might go 6 weeks in a row where we have them.
And
then there might be 3 weeks in a row where we don't.
Yeah.
So we enjoy doing these. I know I can only speak from what I've heard from Dan as well. But me personally, I immensely enjoy these. I actually wish we had a ton of people in here because I think the more people that watched would enjoy this. So share it out with your friends for next week for Dan. Let's see how many we can get in here. Especially, let's see what we pull. It could be a great one.
Could be a really, really great one.
It could be one to discuss.
And we also want to say, if you are interested in a movie that we pick, please message us. And if you would like to join us, then please feel free to, because we would love to have you join us for the review. But let's get all of that out of the way. Let's get the drum rolls rolling and let's pull for next week. We have had 3 classic live action films. Let's go for something different, hopefully. And let's get the poll underway. Next week's film, go out and watch it. Let's see. Let's go for... this one looks good. Here we go. Next week's show is going to be, drum roll.
Great.
We are leaving the Disney live action series.
Okay.
We're heading over to Marvel.
Really?
We are.
Are we watching Captain Marvel? No, we already did Captain Marvel.
We've already done Captain Marvel, but we are in the Marvel Cinematic Universe.
Thor: The Dark World.
How did you know? It is Thor 2. Thor. We are watching Thor: The Dark World. Everybody, get your Goldilocks hair and your hammers ready and your Malekith dark elf love of whatever ready. Next week, Thor: The Dark World is going to be our review. I'm personally excited for this. I'm glad that we're moving away from the live action Disney classic films to move something to more towards Marvel, a bit more exciting. but it is Thor: The Dark World.
This one's going to be interesting because I think we're going to see a wide range of grades on this film. I really think the chat,
definitely,
you and I, we're going to see maybe every letter grade. Next week's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be a lot of fun. I'm looking forward to
next week. This is going to be a good one to talk about.
I'm looking forward to it, guys. Please, if you have not seen Thor 2, actually, you know what? Scrap that. If you've not seen any of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, what are you doing? You need to go out and do it. But if you haven't seen Thor 2, Thor: The Dark World in a long time, go out and watch it this week. Come back next week on my channel. We are going to review it here on this channel, Walt and I. And if anybody wants to join us, let us know. Message us. And it's going to be a lot of fun. But anyway, Davy Crockett's in the books. If you have missed any of the previous reviews, they're all in a playlist on my channel. So if you've missed, I don't know, Splash or The Shaggy Dog or Guardians of the Galaxy or Lion King or the Lizzie McGuire movie, go check out those reviews.
Or the Princess Protection Program.
The Princess Protection or the Tinkerbell film.
Or the Tinkerbell film.
Or Lion King or Mighty Ducks or whatever it is. Go check out the playlist.
Yeah, we got them all in there.
And check out our Oscars show as well when we gave awards too.
We did.
It was good fun. But we got to head out. We've got 4 minutes to get out of here because we are going to head over to Mouse Talks channel where Melissa is live at Disney's Hollywood Studios. Very quickly, thank you to everybody who's joined us this evening. We really had a lovely time talking about Davy Crockett with you guys. Thank you so much for being here. Before we get out of here, let's just do a few plugs. Firstly, Disney Fiasco episode 140 yesterday. Please go check it out. It got 100 views overnight because it was quite a big and important episode. Go check it out if you haven't done. Also, there was a big announcement at the end. Go check it out. It's very, very important to do with this channel and the show. So go check it out. You can check out the podcasts, Polka Dot Podcast, and the Great British Mickey Waffle. I'm fortunate to be partnered with those podcasts. Go check them out. They invited me onto their show, and they are really wonderful podcasts. Go check them out. Dean over at The Live Place, theliveplace.com. Go check out Dean for all your family-friendly live streamers. Over 150 different live streamers. Go check him out. He's a wonderful, wonderful person, and he deserves all the success. Follow not just me on Twitter and Instagram at Disney Dan, but follow Walt as well on Twitter and on Instagram at Mouse Talk. And speaking of Mouse Talk, my partner channel, go check out Mouse Talk again, live in 3 minutes time. Go check out the self-proclaimed king of retro himself, Rob Fuzz, the Viper Project, who do live streams with the Adventures of Gonzo and VP, and as well as Meg from Mickey's Magic. Go check out Meg as well. As for you, Walt, I know you are going to be in Maryland this week. I know Melissa is going to be doing some live streams. So I think I could say on behalf of you and Melissa, let's show Melissa the biggest amount of support as she's going to be flying solo for these streams. So please go give us support. She's going to be going live in, a minute's time. So we're going to wrap up. But anything else you want to say, dude?
There probably won't be a Dissanity on Tuesday, but Melissa will be live next Saturday and Sunday as well. She's live tonight right now. And then next Saturday from Epcot, next Sunday from Magic Kingdom. And then, unfortunately, I'll be back. But yes, please go support her. She's very nervous about tonight, but she's going to do great. And
let's show her
Dan, this is great.
Sport.
I love you, buddy. This has been fantastic.
And for the final time, for the good of all Cree.
For the good of all Cree.
Bye, everybody. See you later. See you next week for
Bye,
Disney Movie Review. See you guys. Bye. Wait, no, that's how